Okay, folks, part two of the op-ed, the Credo of the Hilltop Youth by Meir Ettinger. You can see I did a little highlighting and stuff, so I only have a few paragraphs left of what Meir said, and then I'm going to backtrack through the article with some additional commentary. Okay, so the indictment of Elad. All right, so I'll let me just go from. Okay, so we must ponder carefully why these recent events and understand why the state is so frightened, and I'm going to talk about this in length in a little while for you guys, of what they term nationalistic crime, and how it is, despite the fact that we want the best for our fellow Jews, we are somehow considered the enemy. There is much to write in regards to this question, yet I would like to reflect on the arrest of Elad Selah, and hopefully also answer the above questions. The indictment of Elad Selah reminds me of what happened to me, meaning Meir Ettinger, a few years ago, when I also was accused of spying and treason. That's when I first actually met Meir. As a note, he was under house arrest in his mom's and father's house, and I was spending Shabbos with my rabbi, who was his uncle, in Jerusalem, and that's actually where I first met him. But, sadly, I can't communicate with him too well because he doesn't speak English and I don't speak Hebrew, so we're going to have to, I guess I'm going to have to take the plunge on that one. Okay, so he was accused of spying and treason for warning settlers about impending evacuations of their hilltops. In the end, due to legal technicalities, I was found guilty of a less serious charge of gathering classified information. Watching our army vehicles move, it's gathering classified information, right? I gather it all day when I leave my yeshuv. I see army people walking around. I guess I'm gathering it too. So the week I was interrogated for these charges was the same week that we read in the Torah of the Parsha where Yosef accuses his brothers of arriving in Egypt to spy. And the brothers struggle to prove their sincerity. They say, Kanim Anachnu. We are truthful people. The strange story in the Torah, together with the exaggerated charges against me, along with the long hours I spent in interrogations, basically torture, folks. They torture Jews here. Jews torture other Jews here. Led me to consider what God wanted of me and what he was hinting to me with the accusation of treason. What is the difference between spies and truthful people? Between spies and truthful people. To be a spy means to hide one's true intentions while being part of an existing system. Another form of spying is to participate in all sorts of activities yet hides one's true thoughts in order to succeed. That would be most of the politicians. They're spies for the people that put them in power. And it ain't us that put them in power, folks. We think we do. Don't be fooled. Okay. In contrast, truthful people are those who state their true desires openly and work to advance them. So see, I do this. Out, right in your face, everyone. Up in your grill. Up in your grill. One can also relate to the nationalist unit in one of these two ways. Knowing that the interests of the civil administration of Judea and Samaria are not always in line with the interests of the Jewish residents, it is obvious that we cannot blindly rely on them. This type of dilemma also faces us when we reach the army. Many of us join the army out of love for the country, but decide to follow only orders that coincide with a Torah position, hoping that by doing so, they will be able to advance projects that are good for the Jewish people. But this is the way of a spy. For such a person is hiding his true intention and goal. The second option is to be a truthful person. Kanim Anachnu. State openly that our goal is to live in all of Eretz Yisrael, and we are first loyal to the Torah, even if it doesn't always coincide with government policy as reflected in the army. The story of Joseph teaches us to act like truthful people as opposed to spies. I mean, the brothers say, we are truthful people. But they lied to their father. Okay, it's a story for another day. They become truthful people. I guess they repented after they lied to Yaakov about what happened to Joseph. Okay. So the second option is to be a truthful person. To state openly our goal is to live in all of Eretz Yisrael, and that we are first loyal to the Torah, even if it always doesn't coincide with government policy as reflected in the army. The story of Joseph teaches us to act like truthful people as opposed to spies. If Elad Selah is accused of spying, he must then accuse of those who arrested him for betraying the people. I want to repeat that line. If Joseph's story with him and his brothers teach us to act like Kanim Anachnu, truthful people, as opposed to spies. If Elad Selah is accused of spying, he must accuse those who arrested him of betraying the Jewish people. He must accuse those like Zippy Livni and her henchmen, and even sadly nowadays Naftali Bennett, Bibi Netanyahu, Herzog, all of them, Bogi Yalon, the biggest leftist hiding in a Likud clothing. It's unbelievable. These people are all traitors. They're betraying us. They're betraying the people. Now, this I circled this because they basically used this article. They must have read this article and really dissected it. And they're slicksters, these people. And they used the article. They used Meir's own words against him. Listen to this. Listen to this right here. Okay, I underline. I highlighted it there. When we behave like spies, hiding our true intentions, that our loyalties lie with God, the Jews of Judea and Samaria, and the Torah, then the authorities will view us as an enemy from within. The army correctly demands absolute obedience to its authority. Okay? So this is what happened, is they took basically these boys and accused them, okay, of acting like spies, of acting like enemies within, and of conspiring in with the case in Duma. So our goal is must act like truthful people, Kanim Anachnu. To openly state our beliefs. We must declare unequivocally that we demand the Jewish state and foremost obedience to God. So this is what I do, folks. I openly declare it. I don't hide in some dark, smoke-filled room. Okay? I don't turn off my cell phone. My cell phone's right here. Okay, they're right here, so they can, they can listen to these things, video. Oh, well, I prefer them not to video, but they can surely listen. As you know, when the Band-Aid comes off, the truth comes out. But they can listen to any device, and if you don't think they can, you're really truly kidding yourself. Even with Facebook and whatnot, total tracking system. Everything you do there is being tracked, classified, quantified, metadata, all that stuff. But I'm going to go through. I went. In between the first and the second video, I highlighted some stuff, so I want to just jump through the highlight points here. Nationalistic Crimes Unit was created by Zippy Livni with a huge budget. And in order to justify, how government works. If they don't spend the money, or they don't find the culprit, or they don't do whatever they need to do with that government money, make planes, steal children from their families, push vaccinations on people, whatever they might do, if they don't vaccinate people, if they don't steal children from the mothers and fathers, if they don't find Jewish terrorists, then their money gets taken away. So they have to keep growing. A government feeds upon itself. A government is the worth that we all, and everywhere, not only in Israel, but also in America, where I was born and raised. With the smaller the government, the better. We need a tiny little government. And the government also has to go up. As in America, it's the people, the states, the federal. And now it's been flipped. So we got to take back the power. Even here in Israel, we the people have got to take back the power. Okay, so there's a huge budget created by this Nationalistic Crimes Unit, created by Zippy Livni, and they've got to find terrorists. They've got to do actions. They've got to entrap Jews and that gives them the power, to continue. Zippy Livni, the head of the unit is Udi Levi. Udi Levi. Udi Levi. Udi Levi. Udi Levi. Udi Levi. Calling you out, punk. Now, he has dedicated 15 years, folks, to protecting our enemies. 15 years, this, I don't want to say mofo, but I'm gonna. 15 years protecting our enemies. The Kochav HaShachar incident, where police pretended to be Arabs. They entrap people. This is a perfect example. And Meir called them out on it. That's why they hate him. That's why he's enemy number one to them. Okay? There's been an unspoken agreement, folks, to ignore new construction. Jewish protests were muted. Okay? They don't ignore construction. They don't allow us to build here. They don't. It's ridiculous. And now it's gone even further than that. That death, Jewish death, is met with destruction. Jewish destruction. Jewish death, Jewish destruction. They're destroying the homes, and also, okay, they are destroying the ideology of the Torah. So this unit is a virus that is now infiltrated into our being. If you have a tumor or a wart on your person, what do you do to it? Okay, Elad Selah. He was accused of spying. This is the first time security services actually made a Jewish youth an enemy. Okay, they couldn't really do it with Meir because he wasn't part of the army, but this kid was in the army. Okay, they won't allow, of course, Meir Ettinger in the army. He would lead a revolution. The Arabs would be out of here, and there'd be, peace in the land. Okay, so helping these youngsters is accused of treason. This is almost like when Saul went after Noah, folks. Read that in the Torah. Google search it, or if you know the Torah, look at when, okay, in Kings, where Saul literally killed Kohanim in this town because they gave David sanctuary, some bread and water. They didn't even know. It's not like, Twitter and Facebook where you immediately know things nowadays. They didn't check on their Twitter account, and they didn't log into Facebook. They gave a guy bread and water, and Saul killed him. Okay, the leader of the Jewish people, the first king of Israel. Okay, killed the priests. Okay. Now, the fight against us, the security services leave no stone unturned. They meticulously plan how to prevent Jews from settling on unauthorized hilltops. When the Jews' blood is spilled in a terror attack, they go from yeshiva to yeshiva, town to town, to ensure there'll be no response. They go, after a Jew is killed, instead of going and finding the enemy and going and getting the people who did it, they spend their energy going into yeshivot, into villages, town to town, hilltop to hilltop, to prevent a response rather than catching the murderer. And if they caught the murderer, there would be no response. Why would we respond? What are we going to do? We didn't do Duma. Duma didn't happen by a Jew. It was an Arab clash of clans. Okay? Totally ridiculous. Okay? When a Jew's blood is spilled in a terror attack, like I said, they go and all they want is an op-ed piece. And Carolyn Glick, I'm going to call you out too. And Naftali Bennett, I already called you out. But Carolyn, that was disgusting, that piece you wrote. Okay? How much money did you get for that one, sister? Really disgusting. You belittle yourself when you do that. Okay. Following the murder of Shalom Shirky, the Arabs dressed... the police dressed as Arabs in this Kahal of Shachar. What exactly did you expect Jews to do when they see Arabs coming on the village? Arabs scope out towns before plotting terror attacks. They did this with the Fogel family. Though it's clear that a vast majority of Jews in Israel feel that Israel belongs to Jewish people, the police and security services, the courts, sometimes one can help not feel that the opposite is the case with them. Can it be the police couldn't care less, and as if an Arab seems to be threatening the lives of Jewish residents and they don't care? Yeah, that is the case, folks. Why is the state so frightened? And I can't go on. I did the second part of this. I really already talked to you about. But in my last few seconds here, why is the state so frightened? Because they're frightened of losing their power. They're like the spies that were in Egypt. They are afraid, extremely frightened, that they will no longer be necessary when the Torah government's in.